Start with law schools. It is mushrooming. In Tamil Nadu itself, there are over 110 law schools where the law teachers, more or less, they're fictitious. Antisocial elements get admission in colleges. In Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, law courses are taking place in cowsheds. You have to make introspection. Said the Supreme Court to the Bar Council of India in January 2022. The concern of mushrooming law schools and a poor faculty have been raised time and again by the Supreme Court and the High Courts. Even the Bar Council of India opened up before the Supreme Court about the worrisome state of law schools that almost 90% of the government-run law colleges lack faculty, infrastructure, and many unfilled vacancies for the last 15 to 20 years. BCI has also earmarked around 500 law colleges across the country which were substandard. And not just the mushrooming of law schools and poor faculty, but also the obsolete syllabus and the education structure are major concerns as pointed out by the Delhi High Court this January 2023 only. Law is a rare and a prestigious career option. Is that what you thought when you chose law? It might be then, but the present scenario says otherwise. And this reminds me about the fate of engineering degree in our country. Once, not so long ago, the engineering degree's unique prestige in the Indian society grew with the advent of economic liberalization in the year 1991. It was considered a key that could access a sophisticated and dignified lifestyle, an exclusive learning experience, and a stable, secure career. Engineering graduates were rare, and only the brightest were believed to have the capability of making their way into an engineering institution. Fast forward to the present, we have reached to a point where engineering graduates are no longer a rarity in our country, which is evident from the fact that India produces estimated 15 lakh engineering graduates from 4,000 engineering institutions every year, which is roughly 19.6% of total graduates India produces annually. And unless secured from a premier institution, an engineering degree today can no longer be considered a guarantee for job. Mushrooming private engineering institutions, which are poor in quality, unskilled and unenthusiastic faculty, poor education infrastructure, obsolete and redundant syllabus, which is disconnect from the industry, rising unemployment and underemployment, rampant unemployability, engineers entering into the markets which are disconnected from the education they take up in colleges, putting their hopes in post-graduation sometimes or preparation for some government exams are the major problems and issues which are associated today with the not so unknown stories about the deplorable state of learning experience at private engineering institutions in the country and the graduates they produce. To prevent these problems, AICTE, the authority which look up engineering studies in our country, has been continuously shutting down engineering colleges since 2014 and was issuing bans on opening of new ones. And the ban is still there. But this was not enough, as the failure to predict and prevent the situation in time has costed students immensely, as they lose valuable years of young human resource which they could have used and contributed to the upliftment of the economy of a country. This phenomenon of uncontrolled increase in number of educational institutions producing a deluge of directionless graduates is not particularly new to this country. Then what's new? That such discussion has started to revolve around the law degree this time, which has always been considered prestigious degree by the society. Despite this, it remained conservative and was only seen as a viable profession for the students who were not the first generation lawyers. or either they had a family that could support them establishing their practice, because the career opportunities available to fresh law graduates were almost as assisting junior advocates, which paid them little to nothing. This very fact made the pursuit of law degree undesirable among the middle class students, at least in comparison to other available options during that period, like engineering until 1991. But let's begin with recollecting the past. Year 1987, the first national law school in India was established. Around that time only, India had 400 law schools in total, and most of them were public institutions. So soon in year 1991, economic liberalization happened, legal industry went under a massive transformation, and better career opportunities started to pop up. There was a considerable influx of foreign capital into the country, India, along with a need to devise a new contractual arrangements to fill the gaps which were left by the lacking regulations. This resulted in unprecedented demand for transactional advice on complex deals like mergers and acquisitions, often involving multinational entities. The social development which happened during that period provided the space, opportunities, and demand for already existing and new law firms to emerge as indispensable service providers. The conservative nature of the legal profession changed impressively quickly post 1991 when the corporate law firms exploded in India, and the demand for corporate lawyers which grew massively, resulting into high-paying potential jobs for the fresh law graduates during that period. This is when the major shift took place in public attitude towards the law degree, to which the newly established national law schools, more and more national law schools were growing. They promised career opportunities to middle class aspirants, at least at par with engineering degree from a premier IIT, if not better. This development over the course of next decade, like from 1991 to the turn of century 2000, had put the law degree on the same trajectory as that of the engineering degree. The sentiment of law degree as a viable career option for middle class students that began around 1991 to 1995 was now a widespread public belief, owing primarily to the near religious success stories of NLU graduates and near scamish marketing by private colleges and coaching institutions, of course. Hence, this skyrocketed the number of potential aspirants in the country. This sharp shift in public opinion and rise in demand for legal education was naturally capitalized by the private players of our country, who later, with the falling engineering degree prestige, started to establish law schools, or they were shutting down their old engineering colleges and turning them into law schools. Each year, more and more students started to shift from sinking ship of engineering towards the law degree, only to find themselves now in yet another sinking ship. As per an IDIA survey 2018, the students from the science stream were choosing law degree, which led to more than 50% of the students in NLUs from science stream. And that small number of 400 law schools in year 1987, over the course of next 2 decades, steadily doubled to 800 by 2012. But the entire picture changed in 2014 when the number of law schools in the country reached 1200. Another increase of 400 law schools, but this time just in 2 years. And today we are a country with total 1721 law schools, as stated by a law minister in year 2022. If we compare this to year 2012, when we had mere 800 law schools, in just 10 years, the country has witnessed a staggering rise of 150% in the number of law schools, from which approximately 1.5 lakh students pass out annually. Law students pass out annually. And this unnatural massive growth or mushrooming in the number of law schools and law students over the years has contributed immensely to the deteriorating quality of legal education in the country. So the question is, what are the authorities doing about it? In 2015 only, Bar Council of India had observed that the legal education was following the same trajectory of mushrooming law colleges as engineering colleges did a decade and a half ago. So, in response to this, in year 2016, BCI issued an advisory to the state governments and the universities to stop giving NOCs and affiliation respectively to any new law institution for next 3 years. So what happened, despite this advisory, 300 new law schools were able to avail an NOC from the state government and affiliation from the university. While all this was happening, BCI decided to play against the mood of the state governments, refusing to grant the recognition, which is the last step, to these institutions as valid law schools. But this did not stop the tug of war. In response to this, what happened? These so-called law schools knocked at the doors of the Supreme Court and were successful in securing an order in their favor, and hence became well-recognized institutions. Now, fast forward to 2019, the number of law colleges reached striking 1500, making BCI call for another urgent need to prevent the declining quality of legal education. BCI even stated that at present there are enough institutions in all parts of the country to feed the law courts and to serve the people. There is no dearth of advocates, and existing law institutions are sufficient to produce required number of law graduates annually. This is what BCI said. Given the sad state of affair where the country is not ready to accommodate new lawyers, how can one expect the economy to cater to the livelihood of these fresh law graduates who are coming out of the law schools every year? Mr. Ved Prakash Sharma is an advocate member of the Bar Council of India. He also highlighted his concern regarding the country's poor quality of legal education during this period only and its impact on the standard of legal profession. Hence, BCI passed a resolution soon after that, this time imposing a ban on the opening of new law schools, just like AICTE did. For next 3 years, BCI put that ban. However, BCI yet again failed to successfully implement this resolution, as the Punjab and Haryana High Court in December 2020 set aside the 3 years moratorium which was imposed by BCI as ultra vires as per the Indian Constitution. So consequently, BCI had to withdraw the resolution. Yet to some comfort for the BCI, amid all these Tariq Pitari, BCI was successful in slowing down the number of new institutions. BCI even sought de-recognition of 25 law schools in 2019 when it found that students were enrolling without proper teaching staff in those institutions and the faculties were not being paid as per the UGC norms, which also led to understaffing of such law colleges. Having said that, the current situation is not different from what happened to the engineering degree sometime back in our country, with around 1.5 lakh over optimistic souls passing every year from these 1721 law schools, where private law schools are more than twice as public law schools, with 90% of the government law schools lacking faculty. Having poor infrastructure, the situation doesn't seem to be favorable enough for the students or the upcoming law aspirants in terms of the adequate quality of legal education, despite paying such hefty fees. That too, when the syllabus has become so obsolete. So, what can be expected out of such poorly structured, mushrooming law schools? Probably unskilled, directionless herd of disappointed law graduates whose fallback option is either to go for higher studies, some competitive exam, or to gather certificates of diploma courses with the sheer hope of their luck working as wonders for them. With this, I end the episode, and for more information, you can refer the links given in the description box. Thanks for watching, and if you like the episode, please be kind enough to like the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks.